The departure began on a Monday morning. There was no announcement. There was no ceremony. There was no goodbye. The humans simply stopped showing up. At the Central Council Station, the human diplomatic office closed. The lights went out. The doors locked. The computers shut down. The human staff just walked away. No notice, no explanation. No final message. At the research station, where humans had been working on a joint project with the villain, the human scientists packed up their equipment and left. They did not say where they were going. They did not say when they would return. They did not say anything at all. They just left. The villain scientists called the Central Council office and asked what was happening. No one answered. On the trade floor, where humans had been managing agreements between 30 different species, the human traders simply walked away from their desks. Their stations went dark. Their communications went silent. The other traders looked at each other and did not know what to think. Captain Daniel Wright sat in a small office inside a human transport ship. He was coordinating the withdrawal. Every few minutes, he received reports from different locations. Each report was the same. The humans were leaving. No drama. No explanation. Just quiet departure. At the military station, where human and council forces worked together, Commander Victoria Newman gave one final order to the human soldiers. Pack everything. We leave in 48 hours. The soldiers obeyed. They did not question. They did not complain. They prepared to leave. The Galactic Council tried to contact Earth. The Archon himself made the call. It rang through the communication system. Earth responded. Secretary General Hayes answered personally. "This is Earth," Hayes said. "This is the Archon," the ancient being replied. "We are confused. Why are human representatives not reporting to their positions? What is happening?" Hayes paused for just a moment. "Humanity is no longer participating in council affairs. That is all." The Archon was quiet for a long moment. "For how long?" "When will you return?" "We will not return," Hayes said simply. "Thank you for your service. Humanity's involvement in galactic affairs has concluded. We wish you well with your future endeavors." And then Hayes ended the communication. In the chamber of the Galactic Council, the Archon looked at the empty human seats. 211 representatives sat in the room. All of them stared at the human section. The seats were empty. No one had sat there in 3 days now. This had never happened before. A species did not simply leave the council. It did not happen. Representative Corvin stood up. "The humans are playing games," he said. "They will be back. They always come back. They need us." But no one was sure anymore. By the end of the week, every human in council space had departed. The transport ships left in perfect order. No military display. No dramatic exits. Just ships leaving. One after another. They jumped into hyperspace and were gone. The human military vessels returned to Earth space. The human scientists went home. The human traders returned to their own markets. The human engineers stopped fixing the broken systems of alien species. For the first time in over 100 years, there was not a single human in the Galactic Council chamber. There was not a single human working on council projects. There was not a single human helping council species solve their problems. The silence was complete. Corvin called for a meeting of the council leaders. They gathered in a private room away from the main chamber. The Archon was there. The leaders of the major species were there. 40 of the most powerful voices in the galaxy sat around a table. "What will we do?" asked the representative of the Velox Collective. Humans were managing the trade agreements. No one else knows how to maintain those systems. "They handle the medical supply coordination," said another leader. "How will the Velen get their medicines?" "The territorial dispute in the Outer Rim," someone else said. "Humans were preventing war there. Without them, the conflict will start again." The Archon held up his hand. "They will come back," he said firmly. They are young. They are emotional. They are angry. But they will return. They need us more than we need them. But even as he said it, the Archon was not sure. He had lived for millions of years. He had seen many things. He had seen the patterns of power. And what he was seeing now did not match his confidence. Corvin was silent. He was beginning to understand something. He was beginning to see that his dismissal of humanity might have been a mistake. 3 days passed. Then a message came from Earth. It was addressed to the Galactic Council. The Archon opened it personally. The message was short. Thank you for your service. Humanity's involvement in galactic affairs has concluded. We wish you well with your future endeavors. That was all. No negotiation, no terms, no demands. No indication that humanity would return. Just a simple statement. Involvement concluded. The Archon read the message 7 times. Each time, the meaning was the same. Humanity was not coming back. In the corridors of the council station, the other species looked at the empty human offices. The doors were locked. The windows were dark. For over a century, these spaces had been occupied. Human voices had echoed through these corridors. Human activity had filled these halls. Now, there was nothing. The silence was absolute. It was the kind of silence that makes a person realize what they have lost. The humans had not screamed. They had not protested. They had not demanded recognition or apology. They had simply walked away. And in their departure, they had taken something that the Council did not even realize it had been dependent upon. On Earth, Secretary General Hayes stood with Captain Wright and Commander Newman. They watched through the viewing port as the last human ship completed its journey back to Earth space. It is done, Wright said quietly. Hayes nodded. Is there any doubt in your mind? He asked. Any regret? Wright looked back at the stars. No, he said. We offered our help. We offered our service. We offered our friendship. They rejected all of it. We gave them the chance to treat us fairly. They chose not to. Now, they will learn what it means to lose those who gave freely. Newman added, they will be angry when they understand. They will try to negotiate. They will try to force us to return. Maybe, Hayes said, but we will not respond. We will not negotiate. We will not return. We are done. The 3 humans stood in silence and watched Earth grow larger on the screen. They were home, and they would never leave again to serve those who had no respect for them. The age of human service to the Galactic Council had ended. It had not ended with a war. It had not ended with a dramatic moment. It had ended with silence. It had ended with humans simply walking away, and that silence would echo through the galaxy in ways that no one could yet predict. Captain Daniel Wright stood in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council and waited. The hall was enormous. Rows of seats rose up in circles. Each seat held a representative from a different species. Wright counted 211 different species in this room. Some had bodies of crystal. Some were pure energy held in containment fields. Some were small and furry. Some were massive beings that took up multiple seats. Wright had been coming to this hall for 15 years. He knew the faces of most representatives. He knew which ones liked humanity. He knew which ones did not care about humanity either way. And he knew which ones hated humanity with deep, burning intensity. Today, he would find out if anything he had done mattered. Commander Victoria Newman sat beside him. She was in full military uniform. Her rank insignia showed on her chest. She had commanded 3 ships during conflicts that humans helped stop. She had lost friends in those fights. She had saved alien lives too. Thousands of them. The Archon entered the hall. This ancient being was older than most species could imagine. The Archon had existed for millions of years. When the Archon moved, everyone became quiet. Representatives turned their heads. Some bowed slightly. The Archon was the leader of the Galactic Council. The Archon made the final decisions. The vote began. The question was simple. Should Earth receive expanded representation in the Galactic Council? Should humans have more say in council decisions? Should humanity take on more responsibility for solving galactic problems? Wright had prepared for this vote for 6 months. He had gathered evidence. He had compiled reports. In the past year alone, humans had stopped 3 wars. 3 wars that would have killed millions and changed the map of known space. Humans had solved a territorial dispute that had lasted for 120 years. No other species could solve it. Humans did. They had also provided medical technology that saved an entire colony from plague. They had created a new trade agreement that helped 30 species work together. They had done this work. They had done it well. They had done it without asking for anything in return. Wright listened as speaker after speaker stood and talked. Some spoke in favor of humanity. A small insectoid species called the Krell said that humans were valuable. A peaceful race called the Velen said that humans had good hearts. A merchant species said that humans were good at business and fair in their dealings. But then the speakers against humanity began. Representative Corvin stood. Corvin came from the Zexian species. Corvin had a long body covered in scales. Corvin's eyes were cold. When Corvin spoke, his voice was smooth and cutting. Humans are new, Corvin said. They have been in space for only a few hundred years. We have been in space for millions. They come from a world that is harsh, a world that makes them violent and unpredictable. They kill easily. They destroy quickly. And now they want a place at the council table? This is not wisdom. This is foolishness. Wright did not move. He kept his face flat. Corvin continued. They offer their help in conflicts. But their help comes with their ideas. Their ideas are human ideas. They want to change how we work. They want to change our agreements. They want to push us toward their way of thinking. This is not cooperation. This is influence. This is control. Corvin sat down. Other representatives began to speak. They agreed with Corvin. Some said humans were too emotional. Some said humans could not be trusted. Some said humans moved too fast and did not think carefully about consequences. None of them mentioned the wars stopped. None of them mentioned the plague prevented. None of them mentioned the territorial disputes solved. Then the Archon stood. The hall became completely silent. Even the energy beings seemed to dim their lights. The Archon was very old. The Archon had seen 1,000 species rise and fall. The Archon knew what worked and what did not work. The Archon's voice, when it came, was deep and heavy. Humanity is young, the Archon said. Youth brings strength, but youth also brings danger. The Galactic Council has existed for 4 million years. We have built rules and structures that keep peace. We do not need new ideas. We do not need new thinking. We need stability. We need order. Humans bring change. Change is risk. We cannot accept this risk. Wright felt something inside him turn cold. The Archon continued. Earth will keep its current status. Humanity will continue to serve where needed. But no expanded representation. No greater responsibility. They are observers. They are support, but they are not ready for more. Perhaps in 50 years, we will reconsider. 50 years. Wright was already 52 years old. He would be 102 years old before this vote would be considered again. The vote was called. The results came quickly. All 211 representatives voted the same way. 0 votes for expanded representation. 211 votes against it. It was unanimous. The Archon looked down at Wright. You may remain as observers, humans. but your work here is done for now. The Council thanks you for your service. You may withdraw from the main chambers. Subordinate committee work is available for those who wish it." Wright stood up. Newman stood up beside him. They did not speak. They did not argue. They did not protest. They simply looked at each other for a moment. In that moment, something passed between them. An understanding. A finality. They walked toward the exit. Corvin watched them go. The Archon watched them go. All 211 representatives watched them go. No one tried to stop them. No one called them back. No one apologized. The humans walked in complete silence. Their footsteps echoed in the vast chamber. The sound of their boots on the floor was the only noise in the room. It took them 2 minutes to reach the exit. 2 minutes of walking while everyone watched Dot. When they reached the door, Wright did not look back. Newman did not look back. They stepped through the doorway, and the door closed behind them with a soft hiss. Dot in the chamber. The Archon turned to address the Council. "We will now discuss the new trade agreement regarding the outer territories." No one mentioned humanity again. Wright and Newman did not speak as they walked through the corridors of the Council station. They did not speak as they entered the transport vessel. They did not speak as the ship pulled away from the station. They did not speak during the entire journey back to their quarters. Thought it was only when they were inside Wright's private room that Newman finally spoke. "What do we do?" she asked. Wright stood at the window. He looked out at the stars. Earth was 200 light years away. He was looking at the same stars that shone on his home world. "We go home," Wright said quietly. "We go home and we tell them what happened. And then we listen to what they decide." Newman nodded slowly. She understood that something had changed. Something important had shifted. The humans had walked away from the Galactic Council. They had walked away in silence. And no one had even noticed that they were gone until they were already leaving. The age of human service to the Galactic Council was ending. And it had ended without a single dramatic moment. It had ended with a quiet walk to the door. It had ended with silence. Secretary General Robert Hayes sat in the United Nations Council chamber on Earth. The room was smaller than the Galactic Council chamber. But it was important. This room had held important decisions for 300 years. This room had shaped human history. Hayes was a thin man with gray hair. He had worked in government for 40 years. He had seen many difficult times. But this meeting would be the most difficult of his life. Captain Wright and Commander Newman stood before him. They had returned to Earth 2 days ago. They had gone straight to the Secretary General. They told him everything that happened. They told him about the vote. They told him about the Archon. They told him about Corvin's words. They told him about the silence with which they walked away. Hayes had listened without interrupting. When they finished, he said only one thing. "I will call an emergency council meeting." Now the meeting had begun. The leaders of every major nation on Earth sat in this room. They had listened to Wright describe the vote. They had heard Newman describe the dismissal. The room was very quiet. Then Secretary General Hayes stood up. "We have invested in this Galactic Council," he said. "We have sent our best people. We have shared our technology. We have helped solve their problems. And they have rejected us. They have made it clear that they do not value humanity. They want us as servants, not as equals. They want our help, but not our voice." Hayes looked around the room. "I am asking this council one simple question," he said. "Do we need them?" No one spoke for a moment. Then Dr. Patricia Walsh raised her hand. Dr. Walsh was the leading human scientist involved in galactic affairs. She had worked with the Galactic Council for 20 years. She had published research with alien scientists. She had created technology with alien engineers. She knew more about humanity's role in the galaxy than anyone alive. "I have the answer to that question," Dr. Walsh said. She stood up and held up a data tablet. I have spent the last 6 months analyzing humanity's economic and resource situation. The data is clear. Humanity does not need the Galactic Council anymore. We have become independent. She began to speak quickly. 30 years ago, we relied on the Council for technology. Now we develop our own. 50 years ago, we needed Council trade networks to survive. Now, we have created our own trade agreements with individual species. We have colonies on 47 planets. We have research stations on 112 space stations. We have military capacity to defend ourselves. We have medical technology that is equal to or better than most Council species. We have agricultural systems that feed our population with no outside help. We have mining operations that provide every resource we need. Dr. Walsh looked directly at Secretary General Hayes. We are not dependent on the Galactic Council, she said. We never were, really. We just believed we were. We thought we needed their approval. We thought we needed their help. But we did not. We were helping them far more than they were helping us. Hayes leaned forward. Explain, he said. Walsh began to point to numbers on her tablet. In the past 10 years, humanity has mediated 17 major conflicts. That saved approximately 40 million lives and prevented economic damage worth 2 trillion credits. We provided medical technology to the Velen species when they had a plague outbreak. We created new trade structures that helped 30 species work together. We developed agricultural technology that kept the Corvin from starvation during their crop failure. We sent engineers to repair the main space station when their systems failed. We have done all of this work, and we have asked for nothing in return. Hayes was quiet. He understood what Walsh was saying. They are using us, he said finally. No, Walsh corrected. We are using ourselves. We decided to help. They accepted our help. But now they are telling us that our help is not good enough. They are saying that we are not good enough. They are telling us that we should wait 50 years for them to maybe consider treating us fairly. General Samuel Dixon stood up. Dixon commanded the Earth Defense Forces. He was a military man. He thought in terms of power and strength. So we stopped helping them, Dixon said. It was not a question. Yes, Walsh said. We stop helping them. We recall all human representatives. We withdraw from all council committees. We stop sharing technology. We stop solving their problems. We stop doing the work that keeps their society running. Hayes stood up. He walked to the window of the council chamber. Outside he could see the lights of Earth. Billions of humans lived on this planet. They worked and lived and loved and died. They did not need approval from an alien council. They never should have needed it. Hayes turned back to face the council. I propose a complete withdrawal, he said. Not a temporary leave. Not a protest. A complete and permanent end to humanity's involvement in the Galactic Council. We will maintain basic diplomatic relations with individual species, but we will no longer participate in council affairs. We will no longer send our people to solve their problems. We will no longer share our technology. We will focus on humanity's future, not on serving the council's needs. The room became very quiet. Then one leader stood up and said yes. Then another. Then another. And another. Within an hour, the vote was taken. Every nation on Earth voted yes. Not a single nation opposed the measure. The decision was unanimous. Earth would withdraw from the Galactic Council. General Dixon left the meeting immediately. He had work to do. He began sending orders to every human military vessel in space. He began calling back ships. He began securing human assets. He began preparing for a complete withdrawal of human forces from Council space. Dr. Walsh began a different task. She began to compile all of humanity's contributions to the galaxy. She created documents showing every problem solved, every conflict prevented, every life saved. She gathered the data. She organized it. She prepared it for a final message. Secretary General Hayes sat alone in his office for a long time. He thought about humanity's journey into space. He thought about the first contact with alien species. He thought about the hope that humans had felt when they joined the Galactic Council. He thought about the years of service. He thought about the work humans had done without complaint. And he thought about the rejection, the dismissal, the words that said humanity was not good enough. Hayes knew that this decision would change everything. It would change how other species viewed humanity. It would change humanity's role in the galaxy. It would change the future. But sometimes, Hayes thought, change is necessary. Sometimes you have to let go of people who do not value you. Sometimes you have to walk away from institutions that dismiss you. Humanity had walked away from the Galactic Council once, in silence. Now they were walking away again. But this time, it would be final. Hayes looked at the data that Dr. Walsh had compiled. The numbers were staggering. The contributions were immense. The service was undeniable. And it was all ending. 3 weeks later, the last human representative left the Galactic Council. The last human ship departed from Council space. The last human resource was recalled to Earth's territory. Humanity had turned away from the stars that had seemed so full of promise. They had turned toward their own future. And they had done it in silence. The galaxy did not yet know what was coming. The Galactic Council did not yet understand that they had lost the species that kept their society running. They would learn soon enough. But for now, there was only silence. The silence of a species that had decided it would no longer serve those who refused to value it. 2 weeks after the humans left, the territorial dispute in the Outer Rim turned into open war. The humans had been working quietly to keep the peace for 7 years. They had met with both sides. They had understood both positions. They had created a compromise that worked. The compromise was not perfect, but it prevented war. When the humans left without explanation, both sides thought they had been abandoned. Both sides thought it meant the deal was off. Both sides thought the other was preparing for attack. Within days, the first shots were fired. Within a week, 3,000 soldiers were dead. Within 2 weeks, the fleet battle reached the main space stations. The Galactic Council tried to send negotiators. But without the humans, no one knew how to bridge the gap between the two sides. The humans had known because they had taken time to listen. The humans had understood. No one else did. The war would rage for months. Millions would die before it ended. At the same time, in a distant region of space, a plague broke out. It was a disease that only the villain could catch, but it was deadly. 50,000 Velen were infected on the first day. The Velen sent an emergency request to the Galactic Council. They needed the medical technology that humans had developed. The technology that humans had shared freely. The technology that could cure the disease. The Council sent the request to Earth. Please send the medical technology needed to stop the plague. The response came back 3 days later. We do not have authority to send this. Contact the appropriate research facility directly. There was no research facility in human space that would respond to alien requests anymore. The research facility was closed to outside requests. The humans had changed their protocols. Technology development would continue, but not for the Galactic Council. The Velen contacted the facility directly. They were told that the humans no longer provided emergency medical support to Council species. If they wanted the technology, they could pay for it. It would cost 30 million credits. 30 million credits was more money than the Velen had in their entire emergency fund. They could not pay. People began to die. Thousands of them. Dozens of them The plague spread unchecked. In the end, almost 250,000 Velen died from a disease that could have been prevented. A disease that the humans could have cured with no effort. A disease that the humans would have cured gladly just weeks before. But the humans were gone. In another location, the infrastructure of a major space station began to fail. The life support system broke down. The power generation systems failed. The station housed 40,000 people from a dozen different species. The station operators sent out a call for help. The Galactic Council tried to send engineers, but no one knew how to fix the system like the humans did. The humans had designed much of the station. The humans had maintained it for decades. The humans understood it completely. Without the humans, the repairs took 3 times as long. Power was restored after 2 days. But in those 2 days, 3,000 people died from oxygen deprivation. People who would have lived if the humans had been there to help. The Galactic Council sent a message to Earth. We need your engineers. We will pay any price. Please send your engineers. The response came back. We cannot provide emergency support to Council operations. We have withdrawn from all Council affairs. The Council tried again. People are dying. This is an emergency. The response was always the same. We have withdrawn from all Council affairs. 3 days passed. Then the repairs were finally completed. But the cost had been high. 3,000 dead. A warning of what could happen again. In the trade markets, prices began to rise. Human traders had been maintaining the balance of supply and demand across 30 different species. They had prevented any single species from controlling the market. They had kept prices stable. Without the humans, stronger species began to push weaker species out of the market. Prices for basic goods doubled, then tripled. The poorer species could not afford to buy what they needed. Hunger began to spread through certain regions of space. Species that had relied on stable trade routes found themselves unable to buy food. The economic system was breaking down. In the council chamber, the Archon called an emergency session. All 211 representatives were there. The Archon looked at them all. We have a crisis, the Archon said simply. In the past 3 weeks, we have lost more than what we lost in the entire previous century. A war that could have been prevented. A plague that could have been stopped. A disaster that could have been avoided. An economic collapse that threatens our stability. Corvin stood up. We were right to dismiss them, he said loudly. They were making us weak. They were making us dependent. But even as he spoke, Corvin knew it was not true. The humans had not made them dependent. The humans had given their strength to the Council for free. The Council had taken that strength without appreciating it. And now, that strength was gone. The Archon continued. I propose that we contact Earth. I propose that we ask them to return. We will offer them expanded representation. We will offer them control of research initiatives. We will offer them anything they ask for. The vote was called. It was unanimous. Every species agreed. Send the message. Bring the humans back. The message was sent. It said, Earth, we have made a terrible mistake. We need you. Please return to the Galactic Council. We will give you anything you ask for. We will give you expanded representation. We will give you leadership positions. We will do whatever is necessary to bring you back. The reply came 3 days later. It was very short. We appreciate your offer. However, humanity is no longer interested in returning to the Galactic Council. We have rebuilt our trust once before. We are not willing to rebuild it again. Humanity's withdrawal is permanent. We wish you well. The message ended with that. No negotiation. No opening for discussion. Just a statement. Final and absolute. In the council chamber, silence fell. The Archon looked at the empty human seats. Those seats would remain empty. They would never be filled again. Corvin sat down slowly. He was beginning to understand what he had done. What they had all done. They had dismissed the one species that cared about them. The one species that gave freely. The one species that asked for nothing in return but basic respect. Dr. Patricia Walsh received the message too. She was on Earth, working with a new project. The project was about humanity's future. It was about building new trade routes that did not include the Galactic Council. It was about finding new allies among species that respected humanity. When she heard that the Council had rejected the withdrawal, she smiled sadly. "Good," she said to Secretary General Hayes. "This way there will be no doubt. This way everyone will understand. Humanity is done serving those who do not value them." The consequences spread slowly through the galaxy. The war continued. The plague spread. The economy broke down further. More people died. More systems failed. More civilizations struggled. And the Galactic Council sat in their chamber and realized too late what they had lost. They had had the gift of human help. They had had the strength of human loyalty. They had had the benefit of human problem-solving ability, and they had rejected it. They had sent it away. They had told humanity that it was not good enough. And now, humanity was truly gone. Not temporarily. Not negotiating. Permanently gone. The age of consequence had begun, and the Galactic Council would have to face it alone. 2 months after the humans withdrew from the Galactic Council, the Archon sent his most important emissaries to Earth. These were ancient beings who had served Council for hundreds of thousands of years. They had been chosen because they were the most respected representatives in the galaxy. The Archon hoped that their words would matter. The Archon hoped that humanity would listen. The emissaries arrived at Earth in a diplomatic ship. They requested a meeting with Secretary General Robert Hayes and the United Nations Council. The request was granted, but Hayes did not seem eager to meet with them. The emissaries entered the United Nations Council chamber. It was smaller than they expected, simpler than they expected. But there was power in this room, a different kind of power than the Galactic Council possessed. The lead emissary bowed deeply. "We come on behalf of the Archon. The Archon offers humanity expanded representation in the Galactic Council. The Archon offers humanity leadership positions in the research initiatives. The Archon offers humanity authority over trade agreements. The Archon offers humanity seats at the highest level of Council decision-making. The Archon asks only one thing: that humanity return." Secretary General Hayes listened without expression. When the emissary finished speaking, Hayes stood up. "Thank you for the offer," Hayes said. His voice was calm and steady. "But humanity's answer is no. We have completed our withdrawal from the Galactic Council. We will not return." The lead emissary seemed shocked. "Please reconsider. The galaxy is suffering without humanity. Species are dying. Civilizations are collapsing. Economic systems are failing. We need you. You needed us before," Hayes said. "You had us, and you rejected us. You told us we were not good enough. You told us we were too young. You told us we could wait 50 years for consideration. Now you come here asking for help because you realize you made a mistake. But it is too late." "It is never too late," the emissary said. "We can rebuild. We can repair what was damaged." "No," Hayes said simply. "Some things cannot be repaired. Some trust, once broken, cannot be rebuilt. Humanity gave freely to the Galactic Council for over 100 years. We gave our knowledge. We gave our time. We gave our resources. We gave our lives. And in return, you rejected us. You told us we were not worthy. You told us we should go away. And we did. But now that we are gone, you realize what you had. Unfortunately, that realization has come too late. The emissaries left Earth with the same answer they had brought. No, humanity would not return, but they brought something else back to the Galactic Council. They brought a piece of analysis that Dr. Patricia Walsh had prepared. Walsh wanted the Council to understand exactly what they had lost. The document was hundreds of pages long. It showed every problem solved by humanity. It showed every life saved. It showed every conflict prevented. It showed every crisis averted. It showed every technological advancement shared. It showed every act of cooperation and kindness that humanity had given to the galaxy. The total was staggering. Humanity had prevented 53 major wars. Humanity had saved the lives of over 3 billion individual beings. Humanity had prevented economic collapse in 17 different regions of space. Humanity had created technology that was used by 400 different species. Humanity had mediated hundreds of conflicts. Humanity had educated over 1 million alien scientists in human research methods, and all of this work had been done freely. Humanity had asked for nothing in return but basic respect and acknowledgement of their value. The Archon read through the document slowly. The ancient being, who had ruled for millions of years, began to understand the magnitude of his mistake. When he finished reading, the Archon sat very still for a long time. Then he called the Council into emergency session. "I have made a grave error," the Archon said. His voice, which had always been strong and confident, now sounded tired and defeated. "I underestimated humanity. I dismissed them when they offered their help. I told them they were not worthy. I was wrong. We were all wrong." The Archon looked at each of the 211 representatives. Humanity was not important because of their military strength, the Archon continued. Humanity was not important because of their technological advancement. Humanity was important because they cared. They cared about us. They cared about solving our problems. They cared about preventing our suffering. And we rejected that care. We rejected it because we were arrogant. We were arrogant because we were old. We thought we knew better. Corvin stood up. His scales seemed duller than before. His eyes, which had always burned with confidence, now looked uncertain. "I was the one who spoke against them," Corvin said quietly. "I told you they were dangerous. I told you they were unpredictable. I was wrong. They were patient with us. They were kind to us. And I repaid that kindness with insults. I bear responsibility for this loss." No one argued with Corvin. No one disagreed. Everyone in the chamber now understood the truth. They had made a terrible mistake. They had rejected the one species that had been trying to help them. And now that species was gone. The Archon tried one more time. He prepared a personal message. The Archon, who had ruled for millions of years, who had never begged for anything, wrote a message asking for humanity's forgiveness. The message was sent to Earth. It said, "Humanity, I am old. I have seen countless species rise and fall. I have made many decisions, but I have never felt regret like I feel now. I regret the words I spoke about you. I regret the dismissal I gave you. I regret the moment I told you to leave. If there is any possibility of reconciliation, any possibility of rebuilding what we have broken, I ask for that opportunity. I will give you whatever you ask. I will step down from my position if that is what you want. I will do anything to correct this mistake." The response came back 3 days later. "The Archon, we appreciate your message. We appreciate your admission that you made an error. But we do not seek revenge. We do not seek to cause you pain. We simply ask that you learn from your mistake. That you learn to value those who give to you. That you learn to respect those who help you. Humanity cannot return. This is goodbye. We wish you well with your future, and we hope you find peace with the choices you have made. But understand this, humanity is no longer available to build your future with you. That chapter is closed. When the Archon read this message, he wept. This was the final time. There would be no more offers. There would be no more opportunities. Humanity was truly gone, and they would never come back. In the halls of the council, the empty human seats remained empty. They were cleared out and removed. There was no point in leaving them. Humanity would not be returning. On Earth, Secretary General Hayes met with Captain Daniel Wright and Commander Victoria Newman one final time to discuss the withdrawal. "Are we doing the right thing?" asked Newman. There was doubt in her voice. Doubt about leaving so many beings to suffer. Hayes looked at both of them. "We did the right thing by helping them when we could. We did the right thing by offering them friendship. We did the right thing by trying to build a better galaxy. But we were wrong to accept dismissal. We were wrong to believe we needed their approval. And now we are doing the right thing by walking away from those who do not value us." Wright added, "Some people can only learn through loss. The Galactic Council will learn through loss. They will learn what they had. They will learn what they threw away. And maybe, someday, they will become wise enough to value what they have." Dr. Patricia Walsh prepared a final document. This document was not for the Galactic Council. It was for humanity. It was a record of what humanity had accomplished in the galaxy. It was a reminder of what humanity had given. It was a testament to humanity's kindness and strength. The document would be taught in human schools. Children would learn about the work that humanity had done. Children would learn about the gifts that humanity had given freely. And they would learn the final lesson, that giving to those who do not value you is not strength. It is a mistake. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to walk away. On the last day of the official withdrawal, Earth's government released a statement to all species in the galaxy. The statement was simple and clear. Humanity has completed its withdrawal from the Galactic Council. We will focus on our own development and our own future. We remain open to trade and diplomatic relations with individual species who treat us with respect. But we will no longer participate in council affairs. We have given enough. We have helped enough. We have offered our friendship enough. Humanity will now build a future for ourselves. We wish the Galactic Council well, but that is no longer our concern. This is the end of one chapter. The beginning of another. Goodbye. The message was sent to every corner of known space, and in the Galactic Council chamber, the Archon sat alone. He looked at the empty seats where humans used to sit. He thought about all the work they had done, all the problems they had solved, all the lives they had saved, and he realized that the greatest loss was not measured in economic terms or military strength. The greatest loss was the loss of a species that cared, the loss of a species that gave freely, the loss of a species that believed in helping others. The Archon had spent millions of years ruling the galaxy, but in one moment of arrogance, he had destroyed something precious. And he,